makes this moment unforgettable is how a mother's dream shatters before dinner as a generational crisis suddenly erupts across the screen. Most viewers never noticed this feels exactly like a moment where Fred Sanford would call Lamont a big dummy before grabbing his chest tightly. The writers quietly hint at a deeper crisis in this war zone, where the food is hot, but the family dynamic is colder than a harsh winter night. Pay attention to Edith's expression as the silverware clinks, because it is a fragile barrier against the immense wave of loneliness about to hit. An unnoticed detail changes how we see this conflict, which arrives quietly, not with a sudden shout, but with a devastating piece of career news. One subtle decision changes everything when Norman Lear positions the actors far apart to physicalize the growing emotional distance here. Notice how Jean Stapleton lets her smile quietly fade, revealing a profound and devastating heartbreak without saying a single word to her family. This detail reveals the brilliance of the 1970s blue-collar realism, where ordinary family dinners transformed into high-stakes cultural battlegrounds. Instead of raging, she quietly shrinks into herself, trying to make her immense disappointment as invisible as humanly possible for her children. What makes this camera technique unforgettable is how it slowly dollies back, leaving the characters completely isolated in separate frames. The writers quietly hint that this sudden clash of priorities creates a heavy emotional dilemma that many modern families still face today. As Archie enters the room, his protective instincts instantly flare, ready to fight the sudden encounter with his children's pure neglect. One subtle decision changes everything, as Carol O'Connor uses his size leaning over the table to assert traditional authority over the youth. He maintains a hardened, defensive posture, his tight jaw shielding his own deep fear of the impending empty nest behind a big wall of rage. When Mike tries to justify his choice, the live studio audience falls into a heavy silence that makes the small kitchen feel even smaller. What makes this scene unforgettable is how Norman Lear masterfully uses silence between lines to create an unbearable dramatic tension here. Consider subscribing to join our virtual living room setup every week as we safely protect these precious and classic television memories. An unnoticed detail changes the mood as Edith quietly unbuttons her holiday sweater, a tragic physical admission that the party is over. She systematically dismantles her own hard work, putting the food away in a sequence that feels like a silent and sad domestic funeral. The writers quietly hint at the fading joy by having the production crew intentionally dim the kitchen set lights during this sequence. Behind the scenes, many feared this serious tone would alienate sitcom audiences, but show creator Norman Lear strongly insisted on realism. This detail reveals the underlying tension of the late 70s draft, when economic survival forced kids to abandon ancient family rituals. What makes this climax unforgettable is that the peak emotion arrives not with a massive argument, but with a suffocating, heavy silence. One subtle decision changes the dynamic, because the actors rehearsed this tense dinner scene for 3 days to perfect their cold glares. When a sharp argument inevitably explodes over the table, it is not about politics anymore. It is a desperate cry against the fading light. The writers quietly hint at Archie's true motive. Here he isn't trying to control his children, but is desperately stopping Edith from falling apart. The camera crew effectively used a split-focus diopter lens to keep both Edith's heavy tears and Archie's stern face equally sharp within the frame. Notice how Sally Struthers plays Gloria here, as her weeping eyes reflect the gut-wrenching necessity of leaving the parents behind. One subtle decision changes everything, showing Norman Lear's core philosophy that true comedy cannot exist without real human suffering. During the filming process, the studio audience was completely gripped by the raw emotional energy as nobody made a single sound in the room. In a profound act of maternal grace, she officially releases her adult children from their guilt, choosing their happiness over her own desires. An unnoticed detail changes the final shot, which beautifully mirrors the opening scene. But with the empty chairs now marking time passing, what makes this ending unforgettable is how the script grounded the complex cultural shifts of the era in a basic and painful human truth. Did this iconic dinner remind you of a bittersweet farewell in your own life, or a moment you had to let someone go? Tell us in the comments. Every family eventually learns one ultimate truth. The strongest homes are always those completely willing to let their children grow away.